All right. Thank you so much, Jared, for joining us today. We have 2 questions in the Q&A from Eric Meyer. And if anyone else has questions, we have Jared here to answer. All right, the first question. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Forgot I had to unmute myself here.
You're here. First question I'm looking at is water options for townships is hard. What are options? We're looking at connections to irrigation wells. If this works, does it help with ISO points?
Yeah, that's, I would certainly think it would, but I think that's going to be a better question right directly to the ISO representative. As far as options, any static water source. So if there's a lake, river, stream, pond, something that you can get a hydrant connection to, or, at least get a fire truck close to it so you can draft water out of there. Are some really good water choices, for townships. And again, looking at the ISO rating, that's going to be a really good question for the ISO representative for your area to find out, is it going to be worth putting money into, the static water source? Are we going to benefit from that in our ISO rating? So again, reach out to that local ISO representative to, find out what the feasibility of static water source supply would be.
Another one. Vehicle accidents are a cost burden for our township. We are wanting to recover costs for charges from contracted fire and rescue. Can our township impound the vehicles and require payment before release from towing yards?
As long as that is written into the contract for the billing side of it. And again, when it comes to impounding the vehicle, for payment and stuff before it's released, I would recommend you work with, the township attorney or, legal opinion on how to go about doing that legally. So that we make sure we limit that liability for the township there and stuff. But yes, I certainly think that that's possible.
Any other questions? Anyone on the phone? You can press *9 if you want to raise your hand and we'll let you speak your question. Anyone else wants to use the raise hand button to say their question out loud? Someone in the chat commented during the presentation, if you can get spare parts. Oh, we have 2 more questions here. We want to start charging for fire calls, $500. How do we do this?
So again, make sure that that's written into the contract that, the township is going to assume the billing for the fire calls and that, the city or the department's not going to be doing that anymore. So that's the first step. The second step, is creating that fee schedule for, how much are you going to charge for this type of a call? If it's, structure fires, $500. If it's grass wildland fires is going to be this much. Motor vehicle accidents is going to be this much, so you kind of got to have a fee structure schedule in place there. And then you're gonna have to work with, the fire department and the city to make sure that, when the fire department does respond out to that township, to your township, your area, that they're able to give you, the information that you need to do the billing for it. So again, but that should all be written into the contract that you have with the fire department to make sure that, you get the information that's required to do the billing and stuff. But, first step, start with the contract. Second step, create that billing fee, how much that's going to be. And there's some state statutes that cover how townships can collect on that. So, say you invoice a party, and you give them 30 or 60 days to pay and they haven't paid it yet. There's some stuff in state statute that spells out how townships can go about collecting that money. There's really long explanation that we probably don't have time for here today, but it is covered in statute. So, and again, legal, an attorney will be able to help you with that and make sure that everybody's clear on what that process is.
Are all fire trucks obsolete in 10 years?
No, no. Even in the NFPA standard, excuse me, and I think I covered that in the presentation as well. The NFPA standard, they don't even recognize, an actual time limit or an age limit for a fire truck or fire apparatus. They prefer to look at, what is the condition of the vehicle? Because in the Annex D.1, they make the statement in there, they realize that, after 7 or 8 years, there are trucks that are just simply worn out from use. There's also trucks that are 20, 25 plus years old that are in relatively really good shape yet because of they don't get used as much. So the NFPA did not put an age restriction or an age limit on fire apparatus. As long as they're in good repair, you can keep using them. So 10 years, no, not unless, they're used really, really heavily and they're very poorly maintained.
David, do you want to unmute and ask your question? Otherwise, we have another here. If we charge for fire calls, the weak link is the fire department getting us the who, when, and where. Suggestions for how to improve that? If you know, thanks.
So I guess my suggestion, you know what information that you need. I would create a form of that information and ask the fire department, when you go on a call, here's the information that we need. We need to know, is it the property owner that you're looking to, submit the invoice to, or is it, the building occupant, the vehicle owner, but you know what information you need, create that form and give that to the fire chief or the fire department or the city and go, here's the information that we need. And hopefully that kind of streamlines that a little bit for you.
Go ahead, David.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Actually, I had a written question and Jared did answer it as far as the obsolete deal with the fire trucks. But I would like a general idea. Jared, what would an average sized fire engine cost today? And what does it take to outfit a firefighter? I have no idea.
Yeah, so the average price for a fire truck that's a really hard question because there's so many different options.
Sure.
And different setups for a fire truck. I would say, if you're looking at a brand new one, if you can get one bought for, I'm thinking a fire engine, so a pumper. If you can get a brand new one bought for under 300,000, I think you're doing really good.
Okay.
I've seen them, $750,000, so like I said, there's just all kinds of different options for that. As far as outfitting a firefighter, their turnout gear, so their coats, pants, boots, helmets, gloves, that stuff, I would say you're looking at $3,000 to $4,000.
Oh my.
And then an SCBA, their air packs are probably anywhere from $7,000 to $9,000 in there. And then you want to throw a radio in there. I would say, a real ballpark cheap price for a radio is going to be like $2,500 to $3,000.
Thank you.
Yep.
Should we just do one more minute? I know we're over the 11 o'clock mark, but we have two comments here. So Greg Booth said, water sources. Our fire department uses buried water tanks in several areas where other access is not available. Another comment, Tony Bolter says, I think our fire department takes the money from the person having the fire.
So I'll just make another comment on that. There again, check that contract that you have with the fire department, because the billing should be spelled out in that contract as far as who's doing the billing and then where that money goes from the billing. There's some contracts where, you know, that money goes back to the township, or that money is put into, you know, an equipment savings account to where the department can use that towards purchasing, you know, turnout gear, you know, to kind of lessen the burden on the budget for the township and the city overall. So, but again, check that contract to make sure, you know, that's where it's going to tell you what's in the contract as to who's doing the billing and where that money goes from the contract.
Thanks. Last quick question. Is all PPE needing to be retired after 10 years?
Yes. All the turnout gear, all the structural turnout gear, yes, that's in the NFPA standard that's been adopted by OSHA. So OSHA makes that a mandatory thing, that it needs to be retired after 10 years.
Thank you so much, Jared.
Yes.
We have your contact, I think, in the recorded presentation at the beginning, so I can make sure we share that again. But thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you for the flexibility too. We greatly appreciate that.
Yep.